Srinarayana College. Dr. Purnima brings with her over 14 years of distinguished teaching experience, having served at Srinarayana College, Shortcut and Srinarayana College. Her area of research, narrative studies, reflects her significant academic contribution to the field of English literature and literary scholarship. We truly privileged to have such an accomplished academician chair this session. On behalf of the Department of English, I extended a warm welcome to you, ma'am. Our esteemed teachers and all the paper presenters, we are delighted to have you with us today. Before we begin, I would like to share a few guidelines for you for the presenters. Each presenter is requested to keep the presentation within 5 to 7 minutes. You may use PowerPoint slides if you wish. Kindly ensure that your presentation stays within the allotted time so that everyone gets an equal opportunity. Now, I would like to warmly invite our first paper presenter to present the paper, Maria Book. Good afternoon. Myself, Maria Bobby from St. Peter's College is here to present my paper titled Poison Paradise, Dystopia, Ecofeminism and Environmental Justice in Nemmara. To start with, literature has always reflected society, but it also warns us about the dangers hidden within human progress. Through novels, writers often reveal how greed, negligence, authoritative power, and misuse can destroy both human life and nature. This paper examines Nagaje, a novel by Ambika Sudan Mangan, which inspired by the endosulfan tragedy in Kasaragod district, Kerala. The novel presents a disturbing picture of ecological destruction, human suffering, and social injustice. First of all, the idea that I have put here is the eco-dystopian genre, which is defined as where the nature is destroyed by the human negligence and human greed. And then dystopia refers to the world where something has gone terribly wrong socially, politically, and environmentally incorrect. The once beautiful land, often referred as Swargam through the novel, the paradise has become a place of disease, disability, death, and environmental collapse. This destruction is caused by indiscriminate spraying of endosulfan, a pesticide used over cashew plantation. What is meant to be technologically progress becomes a source of devastation. In this sense, novel reflects Rob Nixon's concept of slow violence, a form of destruction that is gradual, hidden, and deeply damaging over time. For past around 25 years, endosulfan tragedy has hit the district. Then the second important lens I have put through my paper is ecofeminism, where it examines the relationship between women and nature. The women in the novel are often represented as the objectified and shown as the shown under the patriarchal rules. Then the destruction of land and suffering of women are closely linked to the same destruction. Nature in the novel is not just a background setting, it is treated as a living presence, almost like a mother. When nature is poisoned, the people who depend on its surface, women in particularly, bear the burden and they look after their disabled children. The novel also symbolically connects that the female body and the land. The land has become barren after the spraying of endosulfan, and same as shown in the women's conditions where they are suppressed under the patriarchal society and are also denied autonomy and treated as mere objects rather than a living being. Then the last idea I have put forward here is the environmental justice, which argues that all people have the right to healthy environments and environmental burdens and should not fall biasly or should not see them based on a biased eyes. Then the people of the village are denying these basic rights. They live in a polluted environment, but they have little power to challenge the authority or the corporations or the corporate companies who are responsible for this disaster. Their suffering is not an accidental one, but it is a result of a system that values profit over human values. And all these three perspectives are addressed in three different paragraphs. But I would like to conclude that putting all together into one single plot of poisoning and suffering. The same pesticide that destroys the land also destroys human body. The same environmental violence that turns paradise into dystopia also affects women the most. And the same system that ignores nature also ignores the poor marginalized. The novel shows that ecological damage, gender oppression, and social inequality are not separate problems but are the faces of the same tragedy. And to conclude, this novel transforms a local tragedy into a universal warning. It reminds us that ecological destruction affects every aspect of life: health, gender relations, community, economy, and future generations. So, our our idea or like our responsibility is to save the future or to sustain the future for their upcoming, like the climate issues and all other destructions are caused by the human greed over like human greed, because we consider we profit our values and we take on our needs and we do not sustain it for the future generation. So through my paper, I would like to tell that we should sustain the resources that is available for the future generation without compromising our present needs. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I would like to invite our next presenter to present the paper, Madhavi.
Good afternoon to respected dignitaries, dear teachers, and all my dear fellow participants. I'm Madhavi, and I've just completed my Master's in English Language and Literature from Yogakshetra Institute of Management Studies, Palakkad. So I'm truly delighted to present my paper titled The Sonic Architecture of Dystopia, Music, Sound Design, and Silence in Contemporary Dystopian Cinema. Cinema is often remembered as the visual imagery, but audience experiences films not only through what they see, but also through what they hear. So, music, sound effects, silence, and environmental sounds play a significant role in shaping our emotional and psychological response to cinematic narrative. So, this paper demonstrates how sound contributes to the construction of dystopian worlds. Dystopian cinema imagines societies characterized by political oppression, technological domination, environmental crisis, or social collapse. And most of the dystopian films focus on visual imagery, but comparatively, there has been a very little attention has been given to the sonic dimensions of these films. And music and sound design are often treated as background elements rather than central narrative devices. So this paper addresses that gap by examining how sound contributes to the creation of dystopian worlds. And also it demonstrates that dystopia is not only repeated visually, but also constructed through carefully designed sonic experiences. And the aim of my study is to examine the role of music and sound design in contemporary dystopian cinema. The objective of this study are to analyze how sound creates a dystopian atmosphere, to examine how music shapes emotional engagement, and also to compare the sonic construction of two different dystopian films. And also the study adopts a qualitative comparative approach. So I have selected two films. That one is the Blade Runner 2014-9, directed by Dennis, and it is being released in 2017. And the other is The Children of Men, directed by Alphonse Cuarón, and it is released in 2006. So the three theories I have used, and the first theory is Michel Chion's film sound theory. And actually, according to Chion, Sound and image work together to create meaning, and sound add emotional and narrative values to visual images. So, this concept helps understand how audiences interpret dystopian environments. And the second theory is Claudia Goffman's film music theory. So, Goffman demonstrates that film music guides emotional responses and also it supports storytelling. Music often demonstrates meaning without drawing attention to itself. And the third theory is R. Murray Schafer's soundscape theory. So, this theory explains that every environment has its own acoustic identity. Soundscape influence how people experience spaces. So, now coming to the analysis of my first film, that is Blade Runner 2049. The Blade Runner 2049 presents a technologically advanced but emotionally empty future. And the film employs low mechanical drones, that is, a very deep mechanical humming sounds and mechanical noises as well as synthetic soundscapes. So, this actually refers to the artificial sound environment created using electronic devices, and that too it creates an atmosphere of technological alienation. And also, in this film, in this film, rather than relying on conventional melodies, the soundtrack uses sustained electronic sounds that create tension and uncertainty. And here, silence plays an important role. In this film, several scenes where Officer K is the hero, where he is being featured, in that scenes, the music is being restrained as well as there's only a use of minimal dialogue. And that emphasizes the loneliness as well as the search for identity. So, from Chion's perspective, sound adds emotional meaning to visual images. And by using Scaffer's concept of soundscape, the film constructs an acoustic world dominated by machines rather than nature. So, therefore, the audience experience technological dystopia through both image and sound. So, now coming to the analysis of the other movie that which I have taken is Children of Men. So, unlike this Blade Runner 2049, Children of Men creates dystopian world through realistic environmental sound. Instead of continuous background music, they use everyday sounds such as footsteps, gunfire, military vehicles, and moments of profound silence. So these sounds immerse the audience in a society experiencing political instability and social collapse. So one of the most powerful moments occurs when when the sound of a newborn baby temporarily silences the violence around it. And why? Because in that movie, we can say that in that film's dystopian world, humanity is being completely infertile. And for the past 2 decades, no children have been born. So this baby, the birth of this baby can be called as a miracle, and they were all happy for that. So here what happens is that silence becomes emotionally expressive. So normally we can say that film music is used to express emotions. But in Children of Men, there are moments where there is no music or dialogue, and that is silence itself communicates fear, etc. So this moment demonstrates that how sound, that is the cry of the baby, as well as the silence that which happened because of that military areas, that is the military area. So because of that newborn baby is born, everything became silent. So both of these demonstrates how the sound and silence together can communicate hope, humanity, and emotional transformation. So this itself is an example of why this paper demonstrates that sound is central to constructing the dystopian experience. So using Scaffer's theory, the acoustic environment reflects the breakdown of a society. And according to Scaffer, every place has its own soundscape. In Children of Men, the sounds of gunfire, crying, siren, and silence create an acoustic environment that reflects a society affected by violence, political instability, and social collapse. So now, telling about the comparative findings, although both films portray dystopian futures, they use different sonic strategies. Blade Runner 2014 dystopia Blade Runner 2014 creates dystopia through electronic music and technological advancement, whereas Children of Men creates dystopia through realistic environmental sound and strategic science. So, despite these contrasting sonic strategies, both films demonstrate that sound is central or fundamental to constructing the dystopic experience. So, I would like to conclude by saying that this paper demonstrates that dystopian cinema should be understood not only just by the visual imagery but also through sound. Music, sound design, and silence are not merely just a supportive cinematic elements, whereas they are fundamental narrative devices that shape atmosphere, emotion, ideology, and audience perception. So, by using these three theories, that is Michel Chion's, Claudia Goldman's, and A.R. Murray's Capers, the study demonstrates that dystopian worlds are not only seen, but also it is being heard. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we will move on to our next presentation. Let's welcome Laba Kadija and Rena VK from MA English First Year Farouk College School.
Good afternoon. I'm Nemmara and I'm my co-author. We're from Farouk College, Kozhikode, here to present a paper on the topic Power, Manipulation and Youth Resistance in Contemporary Dystopian Fiction, a comparative study of the Hunger Games and the Maze Runner. Let's dive into the topic. First of all, what is dystopian fiction? Dystopian fiction is a genre set in a future or alternate world marked by oppression, suffering, and the loss of personal freedom. It warns against real world issues such as government abuse, technological control, and environmental crisis. Dystopian cinema remains relevant by reflecting modern anxieties about climate change, artificial intelligence, and authoritarianism into urgent cautionary tales. Our research question is, how do dystopian films represent authoritarian power? The key objectives of the study are to examine power and manipulation, to analyze surveillance and control, and finally comparing youth resistance in both the films. We employ Michel Foucault's theory of power, surveillance, and discipline, and the methodology used is comparative analysis. Let's move on to the contextualization. Dystopian cinema reflects society's changing fears over time. Early films explored industrialization and class inequality. The Cold War era focused on totalitarianism and nuclear threats. The 1970s and 1980s introduced corporate control and cyberpunk, while contemporary films address climate change, surveillance, technology, and social inequality. Popular films include Fahrenheit 451, Divergent, The Matrix, and Children of Men. Our focus is on the young adult dystopian boom of the 2000s. The era witnessed the rise of young adult dystopian cinema, the narrative centered on youth confronting oppressive systems. The Hunger Games highlights rebellion against political oppression and class inequality, while The Maze Runner explores survival within a post-apocalyptic world shaped by scientific experimentation and institutional control. Let's speak about The Hunger Games, released in 2012. Directed by Gary Lewis and adapted from Suzanne Collins' novel, The Hunger Games presents a political dystopia where an authoritarian government maintains control through fear, propaganda, surveillance, and economic inequality. Set in the post-apocalyptic nation of Panem, the capital focuses children from the districts to participate in the televised Hunger Games, using the event as both entertainment and political control. Visually, the film contrasts the capital's extravagant costumes and architecture with the poverty of the districts, emphasizing social inequality and oppression. Let's speak about The Maze Runner, released in 2014, directed by Wes Ball and based on James Dashner's novel. The Maze Runner combines dystopian science fiction with mystery and psychological thriller. Thomas awakens in the glade without memories, only to discover that he and the other gladers are subjects of Beckett's experiments. The film explores surveillance, memory erasure, scientific ethics, and institutional control. Its confined setting, dark color palette, reinforce themes of fear, secrecy, and psychological manipulation. Although they represent power differently, both films depict authoritarian systems that manipulate young people. The Hunger Games emphasizes political oppression through propaganda and media spectacle, while The Maze Runner focuses on scientific experimentation, secrecy, and psychological control. In both narratives, Katniss and Thomas, the protagonists, challenge authoritarian structures, portraying youth as agents of resistance and social change. Emerging during the wildly dystopian boom, the films reflect contemporary concerns about surveillance, inequality, institutional power, and the struggle for freedom. Now, Rana will take over the list.
Now let's have a comparative analysis of both the films. Firstly, let's look at the dynamics of power and surveillance. Power is disseminated, constructed, and institutional in both the films. In the film Hunger Games, power is centralized in the capital, which dominates the other districts through economic inequality, spectacle, and punishment. Hunger Games itself acts as an oppressive tool against the other districts, That means they are the dominant one and they need to depend on capital even for economic purposes. And Foucault's idea of panopticon is relevant here as the capital monitors the district using cameras, trackers, and so-called peacekeepers. Media and technology also plays a key role in promoting the propaganda. In case of Maze Runner, power is less visible, but it is imposed through experimentation, spatial confinement, and surveillance. The people in the glade are surrounded by constantly changing mazes where knowledge is withheld and the memory is erased. Wicht acts as a control point, controlling the memory and movement of persons inside the glade. Now let's discuss on the subjectification. Youth is turned as a spectacle in Hunger Games, whereas it becomes a specimen in the Maze Runner. According to Michel Foucault, the subject is not an independent or naturally free human being, but a social identity constructed by the historical system of power and knowledge. In Hunger Games, forced selection of tributes to reaping, televised interviews that portrays youth as spectacles, turning their identity, appearance, and emotions into entertainment for the audience. And the costumes that torn away their individuality, making them the representations of the state. In Maze Runner, youth are used as specimens of variables for their experimentation, which are controlled by the victim. And they also deliberately erase their memory and impose a false identity on them. Talking about manipulation, in Hunger Games, capital maintains power in panel through televised games that function as a state propaganda. Another important factor is that the districts are assigned of certain roles like coal mining, agriculture, etc. Even though they need to depend on the capital for their survival. And families also can obtain an additional food supply if they are placing their children's name for the process of reaping. And here, through the Foucaultian lens, we could understand that their capital are not just sending the peacekeepers directly. Instead, they manipulate what the people see, know, and what they need. In Maze Runner, psychological manipulation and memory erasures are the key factors. Also, by creating a greater good impression to justify the experiment. For example, towards the end of the movie, Teresa is supporting the victim, claiming that this will help in saving many lives. Now let's analyze the youth resistance in the films. In Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen is a powerful representation of youth resistance. There are many instances in the film that support this. She voluntarily went for the reaping for her sister Prim, and in the game, after the death of Rue, she honors Rue by laying flowers on her funeral, and also she shows a Mockingjay symbol to the audience, and she later becomes the Mockingjay of that place. So this all are the powerful demonstrations of resistance by Katniss. In case of Maze Runner, the collective coordination among the gladers under the leadership of Thomas is a strong form of resistance. They break the myth that nobody could escape from the space or the labyrinth, but by their teamwork and even though by facing so many hurdles, they actually explored the maze. So they rejected the authority by secret implementation. So this clearly inclined to Foucault's point statement that where there is power, there is resistance. So to conclude our paper, authoritarian power operates through surveillance, manipulation, and control. Both the films portray youth as the agents of resistance and change. Foucault's theory explains how power is exercised through discipline and observation, and Soviet cinema encourages the critical reflection on freedom, justice, and authority. Thank you.
you for your insightful presentation. Next, we have now came to the end of the paper presentation. I would now like to invite our respected session chair to offer comments and feedback on today's presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope we all had a very insightful session now, because all the three presenters here, they have presented very excellent papers, and they have done justice to what topic they have come here to present. So that is all very good. So now the session is open for discussion. Any of you, all of you may comment about these papers and also may ask for clarification. My Yes, at least a few questions can come from the audience. Okay. So then we can have a discussion on the first paper, that is about ecofeminism in this novel about technological progress and endosel fund tragedy. She has brought our attention to this tragedy of environmental justice and all that. So I congratulate her. Where is she? She went today. Okay. The next presenter by Matangi. She has also done a very different topic. That is, it's not a very familiar one at all, about sound engineering, sound design in movies. We usually focus on the visual images and all, and here she focuses more on the sound aspects. Don't you think it's a very interesting topic? That was very interesting and well presented too. So, Matangi, what do you feel about the way the sound is used? You know, is there a manipulation of reality there?
No, actually, like in most of the films, we can see the importance is being given to visual imagery. So by using the sound, this thing, we can see that even that too has importance, because in most of the films, we can see that sound is being used only as the background element. It's not like a central narrative. So I thought, okay, I can do like this by giving importance to the sound rather than using visual imagery. Actually, visual imagery also plays a significant role, but sound also plays an important role.
Okay. But do you think it diverts our attention? That is, when the sound is used in a different way, maybe it diverts our attention to something else. Do you think that happens?
Yes, I'm like not very clearly. I can say that it can divert our attention, but through sound also, as I said, the importance of silence. When the newborn baby were born, during that time, even the soldiers stopped fighting because of that cry that baby has because that baby has cried. It has been stopped. So I think that even that silence communicated through this what you can say gunfire, everything. That's what I mean.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And our last paper presenters were from Karur College. And that is also a very interesting one regarding Hunger Games and the Maze Runner, about resistance and all that. You've talked about authoritarian governments, extreme forms of oppression and all. So do you think these kind of dystopian presentations, do they become, go to the extreme and almost become unrealistic? What do you feel about that?
Could say that some of the elements are could feel like they are unrealistic, but if we look at what's happening in the world right now, the way things are going, maybe they could be real. Like we can't say whether some people will ignore dystopia, saying that it's just fiction, nothing of that sort will happen, it's too extreme. But when we look carefully with the way the world is going, the ignorance, the manipulation, and etc. So maybe
This may happen in future.
yes,
It's possible.
yes, because violence is encouraged as entertainment
Yes,
and
yes.
manipulation, experimentation. These are all common things we hear sometimes, just whispers. But still, there's no saying that it won't happen.
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you. So that was also very well presented. And what we generally see from this, the presentations in the morning session also, all of them are very interesting topics. 9 presenters were there and we have 3 more presenters here today. And all of these topics, they show how much aware the youth are. All of them, they're very much aware and they want to bring a change. And what we observe from these kind of dystopian narratives is that sometimes they are forced to exaggerate and create some panic. These kind of movies are very disturbing. The movies and also these fictional works and all, some kind of disturbance is caused in us. But maybe that is for a positive reason, so that it creates some change in society. So I think we have had a very fruitful session today, and I think all of you benefited from these discussions. And so I'd like to conclude the session here. We wind up, and I wish to thank the organizers for inviting me to chair this session. And I wish to thank all the participants for listening so well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable comments and encouraging words. With that, we came to the end of the session. I extended my heartfelt thanks to our respected chair, teachers, paper presenters, and everyone present for your participation and support. Thank you, heart. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, because we come to the closing of our two-day international seminar, and we have a closing note which will be delivered by Maya Menon, Assistant Professor of English Department of NSS College, Nemmara. Welcome, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we conclude this seminar, let's remember that dystopian literature is not merely about imagining the worst. It is about inspiring us to create a better future. So, over the past 2 years, we have engaged in thought-provoking discussions on some of the most pressing concerns of our time. Through insightful lectures, interactive sessions, and stimulating paper presentations, we explored how dystopian literature enables us to understand contemporary crises, question dominant narratives, and imagine possibilities for resistance and transformation. So I'm here to offer our heartfelt gratitude to all those who participated in this seminar. So first of all, I have to thank all our resource persons who have enriched our seminar. So first of all, I have to thank our resource persons, Dr. Biju Idukparakil, Dr. Pradeep Kumar A, Dr. Kiran Ravindran, and Dr. Anjana Miss, who is the Vice President of SERA, and all the resource persons from various institutions who have chaired the sessions in both online and offline modes. So I'm thanking them all. Next, I have to congratulate all the paper presenters, both offline and online mode, whose research contributions enriched the seminar with diverse perspectives and meaningful academic dialogue. So once again, I'm thanking all the paper presenters for their valuable contribution. On behalf of the organizing committee, I express our sincere appreciation and gratitude to the UGC MMTTC, University of Kerala, and also the Society of Innovative Researchers and Academicians, SIRA, and all the committee members who stood behind for making this a grand success. Once again, I have to thank everyone, all the faculty members, especially Rajesh sir, HOD Physics, Reggie sir, Economics Department for their technical support, and all my dear students, the committee members who have contributed greatly for the success of this program. And again, I have to thank the technical team for their support and the YouTube live streaming and Abhishek. So I'm thanking him. And once again, I have to thank all the faculty members of English department and the college for their support. And I have to thank all the research scholars from other institutions also for their participation and presentation. So finally, I extend my heartfelt thanks to each and every participant for your enthusiastic involvement, insightful questions, and active engagement. So may the discussion initiated here continue to inspire our teaching, research, and future collaborations. So once again, thank you everyone.
The seminar is officially closed. Now you can. Thank you.